So I'm here with Jim and Blue, and this is day one of live-in training. And Jim, can you tell me why you've come to Blue Dog Ranch today?
Blue is a new puppy that we just got. He's about a year old. He doesn't have any training at all. I think he's been living outside in Compton for the past probably couple months. We found him on Facebook. We, meaning my sister and my wife, and he doesn't have any training. So we have two other dogs at home that are older, and they're not going to put up with Blue and his behavior. So we want him, of course he's standing up here, and we want him to behave and to not engage the other dogs like he does. We also have a 3.5-year-old that we want to, of course, be safe in the house, but also we're worried about him digging and tearing things up and chewing the couch up and whatnot, so we want that to be handled. And also, you can tell, here it proves my point, and we want him to be crated because of the other dogs that we've had for a long time.
Yes.
We don't want him, he's younger and much more rambunctious, so and so we want that to be part of the training process. He'll be crated and be happy and healthy in a crate. And that's pretty much it.
Do a little left circle here. Sit. Good. So you say the command once, he sits. If you're having him sit next to you, which usually is the way it's going to be, he looks up. You have the reward by your eyes. You get eye contact. It's a little detail, but it's really important. Good. Straight down. As he's looking at you, he gets a reward, and you say good. Really makes a huge difference. It's way better than the old way of where, you know, the hand comes out of nowhere and they eat out of it like it's a trough and they're looking this way or that way. It's just a more direct connection with you when you say good and when he's in that sit position. So it's these little details that I'm talking about that make it so much better anyway. And see, I didn't say stay, because there is no stay. Sit means to stay until he's released. So if you do a little walk around sit stay like this, and he does it successfully, you step back next to him, once again, good, reward him in that way. And then if he ever ignores your command, you say SIT and he doesn't do it, you never repeat it ever. As soon as you start repeating the command, it dilutes the power of that command. So you want to pull up with just a little bit of, see that triggered him to get up, no. So he makes a mistake, doing that little left circle is very helpful as well. And then just pull up with a little bit of pressure and he goes back, and make sure that he really waits until you come back next to him. And if he does it 3 times, then you do that little left, that reset circle, pull up with a little bit of pressure, not jerking, popping, hanging, none of that. It's just gentle but firm. And to release him, to be free, if you're out on a walk like we're doing now, you just pat his chest and say go, and then he's free to do whatever he wants. And then, or if he's going to walk with you, it's okay, and he walks with you like that. Okay, come on. Down. All right, so you notice that I reinforced the down command at the same moment that I said it, because out here with distractions, no. Good. He is more distracted and has less focus. That's why I'm doing this out here, because I know that with the down command with him, he's going to have more difficulty with that than probably any other command, especially in a situation where there's a lot of distractions. As you can see, the stay is totally solid. It's just going down immediately when you say it the first time. So he's coming back to you today or tomorrow or very soon. And so I'm making this video because I know that this is something that's going to happen to you the first week he's back with you. Good. The reason we make the videos is because it's never as good on the videos as it is with me here with the trainer, of course. So I want to do things where I know you're going to have a little issue, and it's not a big issue, but it's just, you know, a little something. You put it all together. You don't say down and then he hesitates and then you force him there, because you'll get stuck in that pattern for a long time. So if you want him to move to the next step, which he's probably just a couple of days away from, or you say down, he just drops, just the way he sits, you know, and the way he comes, all those other things, then you put everything together. You assume that he's going to hesitate for the first few days you have him, and you do everything at once. Down, and then stand back and then reward him like you saw me do. And then pretty soon he's just going to be, you could just raise your foot and say down. And then after that, for a couple more days, in a couple more days of that, then you don't have to do anything, and he's just going down. That's the way we train all the dogs. Sometimes they're a little bit slower at learning different commands than others. So if I think that there's an issue that you're going to have when they come back home, then I'll just show you like how to do the last part, because he's probably going to be doing that with you. And that's the way that you solve that and move on to that, that perfect down where you say it the first time he just drops, goes there. The stay, of course, is good. I mean, nothing will make him get up. And that's always the most important part, right? Good. And we're out in public too. You can't see it behind the camera person. There's people walking and things going on. So that's the most important part. And that's always the hardest thing to teach the dogs. But so you got to stay, you just have to you have to tweak the down a little bit when he comes back with you. And I'm not there. The way that he waits until I come back. Notice I never said stay. And I can step away, and he's really thinking. He's like, he knows that he doesn't move until I actually give him the command. So he's really in the moment thinking. He's just not following my body he's just going wherever I go. He's really thinking. He knows that he's waiting for that specific release command. And down means to stay, so you don't have to say stay. I just said down, and he stayed there. So we've taught him to wait to be released, so you don't have to say stay. So he's just waiting for me to pat my leg and say, okay, and then sit. And then this is how you release him. It's a really good way to release from a down stay. Go. Now he's free. Because if you release them right out of a down, they'll anticipate they're about to be released and be free, and they very often jump up and run around, and they're all hyper. And the whole idea of this training is that you're doing it in a way that affects him 24/7, so that he's calmer in general, even when you don't have him on a leash. Because of the way you train, each time you do it, he gets a little bit calmer, a little bit more stable every day, because you do it the right way. You do it, and it's so much about how you end it. See how I ended it? If everything was perfect and then I ended it and he jumped out of there and he was all kind of excited, you destroy most of that calmness that was developed in the down. So the last part's really important. He waits until you release him, you have him sit and release him from a calm sit stay. Go, just like that. And you see the reaction. He's pretty calm, and he's out on the street, and we got distractions going on here. So just keep doing this, and he gets even better and better as you practice every day. Okay. Break down the step-by-step process of calling him to come back to you. And I do it in a very specific way, and so there's a reason for each part of it. Left hand leash, and put the leash over the loop over your hand. That way you can never lose him. Therefore, you never have to do this or that or any of that kind of stuff. Just relax. He can't get away. Even if you aren't looking, he goes that way, you've got it. It can't come off your hand. And a tight leash, tension on the leash. See how he's sniffing? I'm going to move ahead a couple steps. Come! I don't know what he's sniffing. Good, but I saw a distraction, something to call him away from, so I used it. Tension on the leash, choking up, restraining him causes stress in the dog, and overexcitement and tension, all this kind of the same things. So the leash is always loose, and you see even now, there's a person, you don't have to show it, but there's a person in this car right now that he spotted, and we're right here, and he wanted to go over there, and what did I do? You saw me, I went like this. That's your move. I didn't go like this, pull him, I went like this. It's a signal. And then he came back my way. I didn't say a word, I was talking to you, and he came back my way, right? And if you have this out in public, good, where he comes back to you and he's just standing there lovingly looking up at you, reward him and tell him good. Why not? That just improves all the attention you're going to get anyway. It just improves the overall, his having attention towards you 24/7, which is what you want, especially out in the street. You're always going to practice calling him away from a distraction when you're practicing, because that's a real life situation. He's sniffing, he sees something, he wants to go jump on somebody, or who knows what it's going to be. He's going to, once he gets to something gross on the ground, you call him away from it. So in this case, what will happen very often is he won't stop looking at you. So if there's no distraction in the area, create one yourself, toss a treat. He's just distracted by that. Come, call him to come to you. See how the leash kind of like got wrapped around? Good. Just lower it, and he steps out of it. for the most part. He'll always step out of it. Don't spend a lot of time getting down there and lifting his leg and messing with him, because that just adds to the tension and stress of the moment. So see, it was wrapped around him. I still called him to come to me, and once he was there, I just dropped it and he kind of stepped out of most of it. So that's what you should do if it gets tangled up around him. I backed away, because when you back away, the dog is encouraged to run to you, which is what you want every time. Also, I had the treat and the targets. He's looking away from me again. Come! See that? Good. You back away, even just a little bit like that is so much better than standing still. Makes the dog rush to you. And then when you can't back away, if you're at a wall or something, he still rushes to you because you practice like this every time. He hears come, he knows you, he runs to you because of the way because of what you do. That's what makes this, a good recall. Now he's sniffing plants or whatever. Come! Probably a dog peed there. Good. He comes to my right hand target. It opens. He gets the treat. I say good at the same moment. And then the left hand, because it's free, right, just grabs the leash. And then you have him. You can step into him and you can say, sit. Good. I didn't have a treat ready, so I just said good and petted him, which is, you're going to be doing that more and more as you phase the treats out. If he gets up, you say no, of course. See, I'm talking so much. Usually I'm not talking at all, but I'm talking to you a lot. So, no, come on. He's being super lazy today. There we go. And then go. So this is the way you could practice your recall. Come. As soon as he's sniffing or something, call him away from it. Good. Never practice and call him when he's staring lovingly at you. That's not a real life situation. What a real life situation is he's paying attention to something else, moving away from you, looking at something. You call him, he breaks away from that and comes running away from that to you. So that's what's going to save you in a crisis situation in real life, because you practice this way and he's used to hearing that command, breaking away from whatever it is, running back to you. Always make this target, because if you call him to a half open hand or something and you don't have a reward on you, he's going to see it's empty. So always this fist, and then he'll come every time. Good. Then you just love him up like that. You don't have to have food. I can do this because I've been practicing with him for weeks now, but you'll have to do the food thing for a few weeks until you phase it out like I have. But in a crisis situation where there's no leash, there's no rewards, just pretend like you have all this stuff, back away, use your target. We never repeat the command. And I think one of those times, maybe it was from over there, I had to do a little prompt. Come, like that. Good, you might have to do that. If he doesn't respond the first time you say it, don't repeat it. Just do a little, it's like a tap on the shoulder. It's like, hello, just a little hello. He turns around, he's going to see you backing away, he's going to see the target. He's just going to be drawn to you. He can't help himself, right? Good, see what happens? So that's worst case scenario. Never repeat the command. If you never repeat the command, 99% of the time, even now, he'll come every time you say it, and it just gets stronger as long as you practice the way you want it to be in real life, and it's going to be that way. Never repeat it, and always reinforce it with the leash. So that unless you have to, when you're practicing, always use a leash now, because this is all still brand new training, so he needs practicing with you for a while. In a crisis situation, you can call him to you if he's off leash, but only if you have to. So when you practice, use a leash so you can make sure that it goes your way every time. Sit. We always have Blue sit at the front door. We always practice this doorway exercise. He sits, I step away, I step through. He waits till I come back next to him. I say, okay. He walks through with me without pulling. And then, of course, most likely you'll be alone, so you just do a little left turn there so you can close the door. We have this crate set up right here, so I want to show you how we put him back in this crate. Sit. If ever you want him to be pointed in the right direction, you can just do that little reset left circle, and then it's great because it's a great dog training move, and as you can see, draws him back to me. There's no pulling on the leash when you do that. There's no struggling. There's no turning right because you're going to end up pulling him around. Why not use your body to herd him, so to speak? And it's a very dominant move. It's subtle but dominant, and the more left turns you do like that, the more he'll think you're the boss, because it's a very subtle but dominant move. So I have him sit, and then I open the door. Make sure he really waits and not unrestrained. So if he does get up, you can just do a little signal like that and say no, and he'll stop. but make sure while you open the door, no, see that? And close it again. You can just put him back. He's very excited, so this is going to happen to you probably, so that's how you do it. And then we give another try. He has to wait until I actually pat his chest and say, go. He goes in the crate. He loves his crate, of course. Turns around, guess what? He gets a treat. I give him some treats. I reach in. I unhook his little training collar, his prong collar, take off his choke chain. And that's a process we repeat multiple times a day. So he's very used to this routine. And you want to continue that, of course, at your house. That's why we're doing the video, so you see exactly how to do it. See how he'll wait in there. Good. With the door open. If he ever tried to come out before you allow him out, you just say no. That little close like that. And he knows what that means. Everything about going into the crate is associated with, it's very positive. All positive things are associated with going into the crate. Good. You can see that he's waiting there till I close the door. And by the way, we feed him in there with the door always closed. He gets his bones and chewies and things in there. Everything good happens in the crate. That's why he loves it. He has only a good association with it. And he's in and out of the crate all day long. He does sleep overnight in the crate, but he gets to be outside and gets a lot of free time throughout the day. And then, of course, right before bedtime, he goes out one last time, make sure he goes to the bathroom, and then he comes back in, sleeps through the night. First thing in the morning, you let him out again. That's what we've been doing here. So just keep with that routine. This little prong collar, we just hang up on the door like that so it doesn't get tangled up. The choke chain and the leash you can put anywhere you want. You can put it on top of the crate like that or wherever you want to do that. Like I said, he's in and out of the crate throughout the day. You're always closing the door. The door's closed when he's in, and the door's closed when he's out, because if he was loose in the house and the door's open, he'd want to go in there. And part of the power of this exercise with the crate is that you control his access in and out of his den, because dogs are naturally den animals, and that's his bedroom, that's his den. And if you control his access in and out, he has to wait to come out, he has to wait to go in, then you must be in charge. It's just another thing that we're doing with him every day throughout the day that gives him the impression that we're serious, we're to be taken seriously, we're controlling his life. Therefore, he's much more likely to listen to us when we say come out in public or wherever. So it's really important you do it exactly the way we've been doing it here and the way I'm showing you on the video. So let's say he's been in there for an hour or so, and I'm going to take him out again. Let's say I'm going to take him out on the street. I always use this choke chain. It's not for training. It would be dangerous to use this for training because it's just a metal chain. It could mess up his throat, his larynx, or over time wear down his windpipe. And so it's always hanging loose. It's only for safety in case the real training collar comes off. Then this that's hanging loose will come into play. So of course the leash is attached to both this and the training collar. But that's the only reason we use this. It's only for safety. You could also use a martingale collar, which is made out of cloth, but it's the same concept. It's just to make sure that in case the training collar comes off, that then you still have him and he doesn't get loose. So that's what the choke chain's for. I put this on first, and as you can see, so I just have some treats in my hand. I put my hand through it. He gets the treat, I slip it over his head, so that's the first thing we do. And then you'll see how he waits as the door is open like this. You attach the leash to the funny looking little buckle. There's another one here, it's just a round spacer, and that's what it is, it's just a spacer, so you don't touch that. And you can actually put it on or take it off at any one of these links, but you should probably pick something in the middle. And it shouldn't be twisted, so if it's twisted it's not going to work well, so you can let it hang, make sure it's not twisted, and then you have it attached to the leash, and you just go in like this, and he's waiting. This is something we do multiple times a day, so he's used to it. I just hook it up. It's the collar that's the closest underneath his ears. It's the highest one up, so it's right there. All the other collars are down below that. And then also, since I'm going to take him out on the street, I'm just going to clip it to the choke chain. Now we're safe. If that prong collar ever comes off, then the choke chain takes over and you don't lose the dog out on the street. So that's why we use it. And he's waiting. And if he tries to stick his head out or something, you can say no. You just see it's just like a little kind of a token slam. I'm not slamming it and making waffle marks on his nose or something. It's just a real gentle but firm signal, and you can even step back like this, good, and practice that. He's really waiting for permission to go through this boundary. So using it this way is using the crate as a tool for training. Okay, he's waiting for me to allow him to come out. I'm going to do a little left turn to get him next to me, come back, close this door, because you're always closing it, because it's really special if he can never go in there unless you allow him in, like you saw me do with him earlier. So always keep it closed. It's closed when he's in, and it's closed when he's out. And right now we'll go back outside. Okay, and we will go on a walk. Sit. I always have him sit at doorways, and especially the front door. It's a very important boundary. This is now the calm zone. I would have him sit, then I'd open the door, I step out, and he goes out through this door 6 times a day, something like that. And we always do it the same way. I step back in. So when he stays seated here and you step out and he waits for you to come back, you're accentuating the fact that this is your boundary and he doesn't cross through unless he crosses through with you, next to you calmly. Okay. And if he tries to go out ahead of you, you have this little mini prong collar on, so you can just do that little, you saw it, just a little, kind of like a little prompt that stopped him. And if he's rushing it, maybe you need to walk slowly. The slower you go, the slower he's going to go. This is something that he does very easily. Curbs, gateways, front doors, this is the most important boundary, this and his crate. So we're always making sure that he's going in and out of this front door that way and calmly. And then on the outside, you're going to let him be free out here. Sit. Once you cross through the boundary in a calm, respectful way with you, no pulling, then you have him sit on the outside and go. You release him out here, and then he's free to do whatever he wants. So take him through those boundaries with you being under control, because that way he's way less likely in the future to ever pull you through, rush through without you, all of those types of things. So it's a really good exercise to do every time you go through the doorways. Okay, we're going to do this little exercise with Blue, a little go to your place exercise that we do every day. Sit. See how I did a couple of left turns to get him pointed the right way? I always go left, I never turn right no matter where I am. So this exercise actually turns into kind of a leash walking thing too if you do it like this. Go. Well, see how he jumped the gun? So they love their mat, so sit. You need to be careful and make sure that he doesn't anticipate what you're about to do and do it right before you tell him. It's really important that you do it this way. He really waits. Now see how he's all excited? Make sure that he really waits until you actually pat his chest and say go, and then down. He's sniffing the other dogs that have been on this mat. So he goes down there. I'm going to give him one reward. No? Good. And then I'm going to take him off and do it again. Okay, because if you're doing this, see, here's the left turn here. Okay, he's walking next to you, keep him next to you like this. And then another left turn here. And then a sit. So just taking him off and putting him back on the mat is part of the training as well. Go to your mat. Down. Good. Make sure he doesn't go too far and go off the mat and lie down halfway on the mat. So you saw me just kind of slow him down a little bit like that. So you start this exercise just by putting the reward on the mat, good, in front of him, and start off easy, just stepping back, stepping forward above him. Good. You're never allowing him to touch your hand. If he gets up, you say no and put him back. You're never allowing him to touch your hand or grab the food out of your hand. This is the way that you deliver the food is very important. So it's very calm and deliberate. You're holding it between your thumb and your index finger. That's the way I do it. And then I just place it on the mat. I pull back and say no if he tries to touch my hand. Good. When he waits, I place it on the mat, let go of it. You don't want to toss it down. You don't want to move fast, because if you do those sorts of things with this exercise, he'll be in a down, but he'll be overstimulated and not calm. So you want this exercise to be a calming exercise for him. Good. So I'm doing it so that you can see it from the camera, but normally you want to do it between his feet, right in front of him like this. Good, just like that. And then once you've got that down, you can start practicing your downstay, which is to walk around. Just your basic downstay. Make sure that he's good on both, going around both ways. Always coming back, no matter where you go, no matter what you do, you come back and do it the same way. Good. And then, excuse me, and then you can start doing things that are even harder. I'm going to walk past the camera person all the way to the back of the house, disappear back here, and then walk all the way back. And it's okay if he turns around to look, he just can't move his body. So that was fine what he did. Back to where you started, always reward from right here. Good. Go in the back of the house here. If you're ever going to do something that you think is hard for him to handle, it's okay for you to remind him down before you do it. That'll help. And then I'm going to go back here, close the door behind me, knock on this door. It's a hallway door. And that's good. So coming back, rewarding him. Good. This very often triggers a dog to get up, where you sit down, because it's very often it's an invitation for the dog to get up and come over to you, and especially if you do this kind of stuff. Good. But he knows, we practice so many times, that he only gets up one way. That's when he's released in a very specific way. So you can do all these things, and good, because he's thinking, because he's in the moment, he knows he's doing this exercise and it's done a certain way, that he's not going to let himself get up for any distraction, and he's not leaving until I release him. So now we're going to do the hard stuff, which is I'm going to go outside. This is what's hard for most dogs. To the front door, bang on the windows. Mess with the male flap. Good. Give him a double reward, because that's really hard to do, right? Good. A lot of dogs lose their focus and bark and jump up and run around. He's doing really well. Go out and do some more stuff here. Down. Let's throw everything at him. Let's do the banging on the windows, the male flap, the doorbell, knocking on the door. Excellent. Big reward, because that was really hard to do. Good. Obviously, we've been practicing. So all these weeks of him being here have built him up, because we've been practicing this sort of thing every day, plus all the other training you see. It all adds up to make for a dog that's way less triggered by noises and distractions, meaning that he stays calm longer. It takes more to get him to the point where he acts inappropriately. And so, thinking, which is what this is, when you teach a dog how to think, it makes them immune or more immune to stress, which keeps him calm longer. So that's the whole reason we're doing all this. And then he's waiting for me. The only way he'll get up is when I come stand next to him, and I can even try to fake him out. So he's really thinking. He's really waiting for me to actually say the command, okay. And even then, come on, buddy, come on. Sit. He loves his mat. They love their mat, so that's why this is such a helpful exercise. But you're actually, you're putting him on, you're taking him off. It's just like the crate. You control his access in and out of his crate. You control his access on and off his mat. And so we're kind of tricking him into being trained, and he doesn't even know it. And now we're going to let him go outside now. No sniffing my pants. He might get distracted and sniff something. You just say no. Gently but firmly put him back, do that reset thing, put him back, doing the front door exercise. I step out, waits for me to come back. Okay, walks through with me calmly on the outside, sit, and then we release him to be free out here. Go. So just one more thing, that mat exercise, just do it 5 minutes a day. You don't have to spend a lot of time at this. And obviously, throughout these videos, we're doing the training when we're handling him. You handled him before, and so it's not really a lot of extra time. Now you're just handling him differently when you take him to the curb, when you take him through a gate, when you take him through a doorway. You may have been practicing some downs or something before. Now just do this. 5 minutes a day, that's all it takes. You can time it. Just make sure that you start easy. Get successes. If maybe 5 minutes is too long for you at first, just try to have them there for 2 minutes or 3 minutes. Just do whatever's comfortable with you, as long as you're always doing a little bit more as time goes on. That's the way I taught him. That's in 3 weeks how to do all this stuff. We just did a little bit more every day, so we didn't do too much and where he made mistakes. We always ended on a success, which is really important. And you, in handling him, it's part of like you practicing my moves as well. So it might take you days or weeks. It's always different before you're comfortable with doing what I'm doing, because what I'm doing triggers all this. So you want to be doing all my moves, and then you'll get he'll be behaving this way for you.